70, what does their retain ratio remain? So I think that's going to be important in the...
Let's also take a look at whether, when you look at the results of Bihar on a region by region basis, whether the trends are the same or the trends differ. We'll start with Bhojpur, and if you look at the numbers in Bhojpur, currently the RJD plus alliance is leading on 23 of those seats. 14 of those leads are with the NDA. So there's a gap of about 9 seats. Let's come to Champaran. 18 seats here in Champaran. Here there's a very tight fight, but Champaran is a much smaller region, much tighter fight.
That's right.
9 to the NDA, 8 to the RJD plus. In fact, here you've got the RJD trailing behind the NDA. Let's now come to the Kosi belt of Bihar. Of the 31 seats here, again a very tight fight between the RJD plus and the NDA. 13 for the NDA, 15 for the RJD plus. So 2 regions tight fights. Let's come to Mithilanchal. 60 seats here. 29 to the RJD, 25 to the NDA, a gap of only 4, a tight fight here. Let's now come to Magad. Here again, 28 squares versus 24, a gap of only 4 out of the 61 seats. That's the biggest region. Then let's come to Simanchal here, 10 versus 8, a gap of 2. So it's a apart from Bhojpur, where there seems to be a clear and clean gap, elsewhere, there's a 10-seat gap in Bhojpur. Elsewhere, it's a much tighter race at this moment, right?
And I think the important thing, Bhojpur went in the first round. So they got an element of momentum. You know, if you spoke to a lot of local leaders after first round, they said, Mahagathbandhan acha kar raha hai. I think the BJP came back. Remember, the Prime Minister aggressively also campaigned ahead of round 2 and 3. They've done better as the election has gone on.
Progress.
Has the RJD retained the momentum is one of the questions we'll have to ask. If I can just for a moment look at the VIP candidates, because it'll be interesting to see lots of changes, Rahul, I see, since we last looked at some of these key candidates. For example, the son of Shatrughan Sinha.
Yeah, Love Sinha.
Love Sinha was leading early on. He's now trailing. And it's a tough constituency. He's got a 3-time BJP MLA faced against him. So he's struggling against Nitin Naveen, the sitting MLA. So that's one seat that they could lose. Let's look at a couple of others which will give us a sense of how things are changing. I'd like to look at Manju Verma because she was a JDU candidate with a controversy. Remember the Muzaffarpur child shelter case. Her husband was allegedly involved. She's trailing at the moment. So JDU big-time candidates, you know, some of their big names are trailing or they're big candidates. This is an interesting figure, Mukesh Sahni, who we look at. He's at the moment leading. So, you know, we'll have to see how...
You know, he used to be a Bollywood film producer, or still is an influential
I think he made
Bollywood.
sets. I think he was a set designer in Bollywood.
Decorations and sets.
And remember, all of them, last time, many of them were with the Mahagathbandhan. They've switched sides and joined hands to the... They are available to the highest bidder. These are these small parties for 4 and 5 who like a hung assembly.
Does the BJP give too much importance to people like Mukesh Sahni and to the VIP? Many inside the BJP in Bihar don't know why he's given the kind of place that he is.
Sometimes these are inexplicable decisions, but I'm sure they're based on something in particular of which we may not be aware of.
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in a way that these do matter. I think...
That's Swapan Das Gupta. He saw an outswinging ball. That's a good, well left. He lets the ball go to the keeper.
No, I'll be fair to the BJP. When the BJP realized that Chirag Paswan is moving away, they realized the need that it's important. The BJP seems to believe in social engineering much more than many other political parties do. So they felt even the 3 to 4% Malla vote is an important vote bank. They look at Maji and the Musahar vote as an important vote bank.
Can I counter argue? Yes. In Uttar Pradesh, they get the Nishad votes themselves. Why do they need?
There is a Sanjay Nishad.
Not so easy, not so easy now. If you remember last time, they had the Rajbhar vote. They had to give the Rajbhars a few seats. Okay. If you remember, they had to give Apna Dal to get the Kurmi vote. So the BJP believes much more in social engineering and bringing in the EBCs and OBCs, even if it means...
The reality is the ability of these small parties, Manisha Priyam, to bring their caste community vote to the table is highly suspect.
I think so. But the fact is that the BJP had an Ajay Nishad in Captain Jai Narayan Nishad's son. So here really the question was whether Mukesh Sahni has the ability or not. In the last election, he proved on the other side that he was no good. And then it was Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav hyping him up. So it was more the case that you wanted to get an asset out of Lalu Prasad Yadav's cupboard onto your side. and give that visual
I
image of
spent a
having
day
the picture
campaigning with him,
complete.
which is why I have views on this. I spent some time seeing how he campaigns and how the party works.
Last election.
It's overrated. Completely
Yeah,
It's a
overrated.
good footnote in your life.
Rahul,
Okay, yes.
can I add to what Manisha ji was saying? See, like in politics, don't think of all decisions as strategic calculations.
Or rational.
Or rational calculation. Many a times you have to do things just for the optics. Many a times you have to do things because the other side might
You have
gain.
to prevent the other side from
and
getting
think of why did, think deep politics behind why Lalu Yadav's son gave Congress 70 seats. Because his father is in a state, in a jail, which is ruled by Congress party. You have to think of these things. Why did he give left so many tickets and not align with them in 2019? Because there was a condition, right? So a lot of things go into...
May I just add,
No, but
Rahul,
I just
there's
want to
one
give the
thing which
numbers.
we
Just
often forget.
Yes,
Is
go ahead.
that the importance of finance in a campaign.
Yes.
You know, how do you gather resources? Sometimes a lot of decisions are taken in order to gather resources.
No, but
No,
Mukesh
sure, but
Sahni is
please look
hardly
at
the
Mukesh
person
Sahni.
giving any
Mukesh Sahni
resources.
is leading in 5 of the 9 seats for which we have trends. So he's at 50, he's above 50% at the moment. And one of those critical numbers is the 16 others. And I think as the day goes on, that LJP is now leading in 10. Remember, Ram Vilas Paswan has steadily declined in Vidhan Sabha seat, percentages in Bihar from 2005.
He had just 3
His
in the
best
last
time was 2005 February, he won 29 seats. Since then he's been in
Now
decline.
4-5%.
he had 3.
Yeah.
But it will also be interesting to find out how many of those LJP are actually BJP rebels.
And
Quite
also,
a few.
and also, if they are leading in 10,
a few.
how many is your vote tally enough to damage the JDU candidate who's sitting from that seat?
So we have that. We have something called the Chirag card.
I think
which
it's
will
going to be
calculate
important.
How many seats does LJP's candidate ensure that the outcome is altered? So we will start pulling it out, but let the data firm up a bit, then it will be more meaningful to look at those numbers. Okay, let's just take a look at this moment at the